What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more punk rock. And I'm really excited to do this, because this is all unfolding in a sort of multi-stage process, which is to say, I recently decided to finally get around to reacting to a semi-recent Tsunami Bomb album, 2019, The Spine That Binds. And when I began that journey, reacting to the first tune, now what, like 4 or 5 days ago, something to that effect, I mentioned that I was familiar with Tsunami Bomb back from the era, this is from 2004, early 2000s, when they put out one album before this. I think it was a couple years earlier, 2002, also on Kung Fu Records, which, as I mentioned in that other Tsunami Bomb reaction, and had confirmed by a friend of the channel, Ska Punker, but basically it's a label that was run by Joey Escalante and Warren Fitzgerald of the Vandals, but apparently they were like sued into financial oblivion by, I think it was a film studio, because like they used an identical font on some of their like materials, and apparently that was, you know, found to be they were liable for that. So I guess Kung Fu doesn't really like exist in any meaningful way anymore, but yeah, ultimately I think both of their first two albums are on this label. In any case, I mentioned when I discovered them, they had opened for another group that I had gone to see, and they made a big impression on me. Their singer had a lot of fire and energy, and just the whole sound was this, you know, fast rocking, sort of, you know, like California or like West Coast style punk. I was gonna say like hardcore. It wasn't quite hardcore, but it wasn't like just what sometimes you mean when you say pop punk, which is, you know, like a lighter, like more sugary sound, songs about relationships much more than, you know, like social critiques or anything like that. But it felt like it was somewhere in between. But it was a really memorable show, so I went and I got the album that had just come out by that point. And so now I'm going through their then singer, Emily Whitehurst, then known as Agent M. I'm going through something that she made in 2023, so nearly 20 years after this album came out. And the first song, it's talking about her life journey and choosing to go into music, and, you know, what that's been and the way it's maybe been perceived by her parents, and ultimately what I remember about the opening tune on this album is that it's about, like, I mean, there's a number of lines where I think it's very poetic. It's like there's some visual metaphors, and I remember thinking that the lyrics on this album, which are all written by Emily Whitehurst, aka Agent M, that they're very poetic. They have a literary quality to them. So, but what I remember about it is that it's about trying to get out of a stifling environment, a town, and perhaps one that you grew up in and you feel you've outgrown mentally or in terms of your ambitions. But the song keeps talking about being very lonely and never feeling more lonely than she does now, and about how you can't see the stars because there's brown in the sky. And so it feels like there's a few things going on, because it talks about being like, you know, creativity is in a chokehold because they've been steamrolled by gold records, and I don't know, like maybe there's the idea of, you know, trying to live up to creating something that's as good as things which have gone to that level. Maybe it's about things that tend to be super popular and sell. Maybe they're not as creative as some things that are more independent and don't have to worry about, you know, reaching certain sales levels or chart numbers or whatever. So I'm not quite sure all what's going on, but I feel like there's a mixture of like her personal journey, which again, this is like 20 years before what we're hearing as I go through Survival Guide. So like when I hear her talk about like her journey, or when I try to, you know, re-engage with the lyrics here, and I actually I can pull up the lyrics, I suppose. I've been doing that in some of the punk rock reactions, because like I don't like doing that necessarily with a tune I'm hearing for the first time. But this is something that I've known for 20 years, but I haven't like listened to this for a long time, and so, you know, I'm remembering like sketches of the lyrics. But I don't feel bad looking, because, you know, it's an album I've had for nearly 2 decades. So, but yeah, it's like a mixture of her personal journey, maybe commentary on, like, you know, human activities and the way we tend to, you know, dirty our own environment. We tend to, you know, cause pollution or endanger ourselves because, you know, we do things without thinking that then cause harm to the very people that, whatever those things that were done, were supposed to benefit in the first place. and also perhaps like critique of the music industry or of commercial control of music. So either way, let's hear it. This is Tsunami Bomb, the definitive act, the first tune, and it's called Dawn on a Funeral Day. That's right. And ultimately, as I mentioned, all songs on this album are written by their lead singer at the time, Emily Whitehurst, aka Agent M, now known as Survival Guide. So yeah, there were some lines there I did remember, and like more verbatim than I was thinking, but ultimately, again, there's multiple moving parts there. I do think the three elements I thought of, I think, are there to some degree. It's, you know, about her loneliness, it's about trying to get out of this town, she's on this road, which, you know, roads serve as metaphors in a lot of respects, but it feels like her life path, or her, you know, her vocational call to the world of music and songwriting and so on. But again, there's the line about the dark sky or the brown sky and the, you know, not being able to see the stars. I did hear the line about the creativity in a chokehold, steamrolled by gold records. There was something about like the music they think we'll buy or something like that. I'll have to look. Again, I'll look up at the lyrics in a second. But yeah, it's definitely like, I know they have, I think the next tune, I think the second tune on the album, if I'm remembering, which, what is it called? Like Be Alright? Or Being Alright. I do think that's one of my favorites. It's a more like fast, you know, like West Coast hardcore like type of punk rock tune. Whereas this one is definitely more in a like reflective, almost, again, pop punk. Sometimes like I feel like that phrase is used as a like a critical label, whereas like here I don't mean it. I just mean like some of the stylings there are more like pop punk in sound. But even then, there's like an artistry to it. Like there's a like the way that end played out with the sort of like blossoming guitar and the some of the sonics. So I don't know, maybe like art punk would be a better term. But yeah, ultimately it's one of their more like, you know, down tempo tracks, like slower tunes, I guess. It's not, I don't know if you'd call that a ballad, but it's definitely, they have faster tunes in this. And when I saw them live, again, the thing that really stuck out to me was like, holy crap, like this group, they like really rock. Like they played, you know, they must have played some of their tunes, if not double time, certainly at a higher tempo than default. So yeah, bottom line, looking forward to going through this. I will keep going through the modern Tsunami Bomb album, or again, it was 5 years ago now, but The Spine That Binds, which is more of the original members who by this time had left the band, but not with Agent M in the reformulated band. And indeed, the new singer, you know, she has a not entirely dissimilar voice. I've only heard one tune, but I feel like it's a voice that's in the same sonic ballpark as Emily's, so I feel like maybe you know, there's a certain continuity to the vocal work, even if it's, you know, two different singers. So bottom line, interested in going back to the past for this and going back to the more recent past for The Spine That Binds, all while I'm going through the very recent past with Survival Guide's album. So with that all in mind, I will now quickly look at the lyrics. Shout out to Luca for being a little croissant like always. And yeah, let us see what we can find out about this song. Oops. Dawn on a Funeral Day. Okay, so here's what we got. Did you ever realize why there are no stars in the sky? Because they're on the ground. The air is brown. We're trapped in this town. Let me go. I can't breathe. I drag myself through the debris. I never felt more alone than on this starry road. So again, this opening paragraph, there's a personal element to it, but it does feel more environmental, and that, you know, you can take that just as a general description of the things that surround you, but also, you know, the air is brown. I can't breathe, I drag myself through the debris. It feels not only perhaps commentary on environmental destruction, but a sort of speculative, kind of post-apocalyptic sort of feel, like a Dead Kennedys song or something like Moon Over Marin. But here we go. The air is warm, but I feel gray. The chill of dawn on a funeral day. I lie in unrest while heavy dirt falls to my chest, and that invokes the imagery of, you know, she's the one being buried. The chill of dawn, which obviously, like, you know, the morning can be crisp and cold, even if the air, like, you know, it's sunny out and it's you know, not freezing, but ultimately the chill of dawn invoke, you know, the chill of death, a death wind and so on. I fade away and the hollow phantoms stay. So again, fade away, the idea of maybe someone's life force passing. The hollow phantoms stay, so things that, like, they don't have physical substance, but, you know, perhaps they exist in some sense, like in the spirit realm maybe. Imagination in a chokehold, I've been steamrolled by gold records. Inspectors are watching over me, under lock and key. I didn't remember that line, and I thought it said specters, which then I was like, you know, we're talking producers, like, you know, someone like Phil Spector, but no, it's inspectors are watching over me, under lock and key. Chalk my outline, again, imagery of like someone dying, and a testament to that. They talk of this if I died from a broken heart. They've taken art, turned it into something they think we'll buy. That's what it is. So again, there's like multiple things happening here. The air is warm, but I feel gray. The chill of dawn on a funeral day. I lie in unrest while heavy dirt falls to my chest. I fade away in the hollow phantoms stay. My blood is their liquid vitamin. Their madness festers under the skin. Again, like, I suppose you could take that, some, like, you know, the idea of like controlling other people is, you know, their that's what they consider a healthy thing to be doing. Their madness festers under maybe her skin, or maybe it's, you know, like chemicals, you know, things that she now ingests. Yeah, again, some of these lines, I feel like they could be more like socio-critical, but they could just be like visual metaphors for psychological and emotional experiences or conditions. But then finally, one more of the chorus, and then the last line is, "I have never felt so alone in my whole life." Whew, so yeah, like, man, a lot going on there, but again, very sort of literary. I think there's a lot open to interpretation. Curious to hear what folks might think. I may mention this to a couple folks who've enjoyed the Survival Guide first couple tunes, even though this is very different sonic material and maybe, you know, not quite as to the taste of those who I've drawn the attention to Survival Guide. But again, like, knowing that this is what she wrote like 19 years ago, knowing some of her material, like just the first couple songs, you know, that she's written in the last year or so, it feels like, you know, like this real-time look at what she's talking about, but, you know, in a different genre. So either way, I'm excited to go through it, but I will, as I said, keep going through other Tsunami Bomb. Also, Paulie, who often checks out most of the punk rock reactions, I appreciate your patience. I've been meaning to get back to Bad Religion, and of course always was Strung Out. I think I did one of them not too long ago, but the point is I will continue to go through all of the stuff you sent me, including the implants. So yeah, looking forward to more of that. Cheers to the patience. I will see you all next time. Peace.